Good day. In this session, I will teach you how to understand the BIR Form 1906 or the authority to print, so that those taxpayers that issue manual sales invoice or official receipts will have to fill this out upon initial registration, and when the 5-year period to issue receipts or invoices based on the authority to print shall expire. Let's go to the Form 1906. So BIR Form number 1906, this is a January 2018 series in compliance with the TRAIN or tax reform and tax reform. I don't know the in and inclusiveness. I'll have to look up what TRAIN law stands for. But I know it's RA 10963. Anyhow, all the information here you have to fill out. In number 1, that's the taxpayer's identification of the individual or the business entity. Then whether in number 2, whether you have applied for a head office or a branch office. The RDO code is the Revenue District Office Code of the RDO in your business address, based on your business address. Registered name, you follow the naming convention provided for in here. And if non-individual, such as partnership, corporations, or associations, or cooperative, you have to input here in the same fields in number 4. Number 5, a trade or business name, if any. So usually if an individual, in number 4, that would be the individual's name. And then in number 5, for example, if it's a sari-sari store, then it's Len Sari-Sari Store. So it's the business name that you have registered with the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI. And number 6, the business address where the business is located. Number 7 is the contact number. It can be a landline or a mobile number. The email address, if you have one. If none, maybe the bureau will require you. It doesn't say that, unlike in the online forms, that this is a required field. Nothing says here it's a required field. But I know for sure that zip code is required in EBIR forms. Anyhow, the accredited printer's details, the printer's TIN. The printer's TIN or TIN is shall be supplied by, if you have the number of the, if you have the tax identification number of the printer that where you wish your invoice or your official receipts be printed, then you have to fill it out here. But usually what happens to the RDO is that there is the person in charge at the ATP counter would already have a contact person, an accredited printer by the BIR, and then they would give you a pre-filled out form. So I think that's a better way of there's a better way of doing it, because you won't have to fill out this part in number 9, number 10, number 11, so that when you go to the RDO to file for an ATP, you won't have to fill this out. But if you have a Suki printer, or you have a regular printer, then you fill out this information. The printer's name, printer's business address, contact number, email, similar details that you provided for above. And then the details of application for receipts and invoices, bound loosely for others. When you say bound, it's pasted in, it's bound. It's pasted in a format in a bundle, like a book bound. So in number 7, so what's the difference between receipts and invoices? Usually, you issue official receipts for services, and then you issue sales invoice for goods. That's how it is. The description of receipts and invoices for principal receipts and invoices description. Usually for a trading business, it would be sales invoice, collection invoice or collection report, delivery receipt. They would also have, if the business is a mix of the sale of goods and also of services, and they would also have official receipt. And I forgot another one, the more familiar ones. There would be about 4 or 5 types of receipts and invoices that you would apply. So what is the type? If you're a VAT or non-VAT taxpayer, VAT taxpayer or so designated by the law, and at the minimum threshold amount of a VAT taxpayer is over 3 million gross receipts annually. Non-VAT, 3 million and below. So you just select one box in type, and then the number of boxes or booklets. So if loose, usually it's bound if you request through authority to print at the RDO. Number of boxes or booklets bound. So if you request like 10 booklets, you indicate it here in the appropriate box, whether loose or bound, and the number of sets per booklet. Usually it would be a booklet of 50 so that you start from 1 to 50 and then 51 to 100, but it could also be 100 per booklet. So the cost of the printing would definitely depend on how many pages you would have, and number of copies per set. So for for example, if you have 50, for each booklet there are 50 numbers, so that how much number of copies per set would be, for example, in number 1 you have the original, which is the white front receipt, and then there would be a duplicate or a triplicate. It's up to you. So the serial number, if this is your first time to request for it, and then it's number 1 up to 500 or number 1 up to 1000. Then when you consume, when all the pages are utilized, you start with the last number from your previous request. Secondary receipts and invoices, like I mentioned earlier, delivery receipts, collection receipt. I can't remember the others. At least I would have 5 before. And then you sign below, number 18. The attachments for manual or bound invoices, final and clear sample. So when you request, when you submit this to the person in charge at the RDO, you will need to show a format, and usually you just copy it from an existing receipt. Have one printed and bring it when you register at the RDO. photocopy of the last ATP or PCD or any booklet from the last ATP for subsequent application. Supposing that the booklets are utilized within the 5-year period, they will ask a copy of your copy of that ATP. And usually the ATP would be, if you lost your ATP, it would be printed at the back overleaf, at the back of the last page. It's printed there by the printers, so that if you lose your ATP, then you can find it at the back. What's important there is the series, the serial number. For manual or loose leaf receipts and invoices, permit to use loose leaf. And then final and clear sample. Loose leaf usually are those printer bound invoices or receipts, the continuous printing. I think this applies to loose leaf. And then for the same, it would have to have that photocopy of the ATP or PCD or any booklet from the last issued ATP for a subsequent application. Only the head office shall file the authority to print receipts and invoices. One application should be filed and one permit should be issued for every establishment, head office or either branch. The data that should appear in the ATP are the data pertaining to the establishment that will use the receipts or invoices. Okay, now let's go back to the actual authority to print. So for this one, I've just muted the TIN of my friend Bernadette. So here the TIN is your 12-digit or 15-digit tax identification number. My friend Bernadette, the business trade name, the registered address. This is the certificate now issued to you, or the authority to print. Now it's BIR Form 1921. So the form that you will file is 1906, and the certificate or the authority to print that they will release is BIR Form 1921. Same thing for the registration of the business. You initially, in your initial registration, you will use BIR Form 1901, but the certificate of registration will be BIR Form 2303. So in here, the registered address, this was also derived from your 1906 input. The printer details, also in the 1906 input. And then the registered address also of the printer. And in relation to number 17 in Form 1906, what will appear now in 1921 is the actual receipt or invoice that you filled out. So Bernadette is a percentage taxpayer, so it's non-VAT. The description is that she requested for an official receipt. It's not loose, so it's 0. So number of bound booklets, Bernadette initially ordered 10. So number of sets for booklets, it's 50. So there's 50 numbers, 50 receipts per booklet. And then the number of copies per set is 2. So she only requested for a duplicate copy. You can request as much as you want in triplicate or quadruple. It depends on your business requirements. So the serial number, since this is the first set of receipts issued to Bernadette, it starts from 1 to 500. So with 50 numbers numbers per booklet. So this makes up for 10 booklets. And then the date of the authority to print, this was issued on December 2, 2019. It's effective within the 5-year period so that it's valid until December 1, 2024. What happens after December 1, 2024? So your authority to print has lapsed. You are no longer authorized to use any remaining official receipts under this series. So at least a month before your authority to print expires, you have to already request at the Revenue District Office for a new set. Because the penalty for this, for sole proprietor or for business professionals, the penalty is 10,000 and 1,000 per year not complied with. So for in my case, my authority to print expired in February of 2021, and I'm only able to update it in March in 2022. I paid 11,000. So there you go. This is very important to avoid penalties. And also, if you do not issue invoices, there would be another penalty for this. So there's a penalty if you do not issue official receipts. There's a penalty if you issue and it is beyond the 5-year period, which is the effectivity of the authority to print. You know, in the tax man has a deep pocket for penalties. So there you go. I hope you can now appreciate BIR Form 1906 in relation to the authority to print, which is the final form, BIR Form 1921. This has been Claire, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more tax information and learning. Thank you. Have to end.